Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of One Pot for All. So today is Sunday, and it's one of those Sundays. It's a pretty lazy one for me. I did some laundry, which was very boring, but I also had a little bit of time to read, which was not boring. I've currently actually, I haven't just started. I made quite some progress, but I'm currently reading an Agatha Christie book, and it was given to me as a gift, and I was very grateful because I always wanted to read one of her books and I never got around to it. So I'm very excited to do that right now, and I'm enjoying it very much because, I've made some progress, which always means something when it comes to a book. If you have to force yourself to finish a book, never a good sign. But yeah, that's actually a really good one, and I'm enjoying it very much, and I'm very excited to see who the murderer is, which is, the most exciting part about the book. But I also like the way it was written. I really enjoyed the very non-dramatic writing style. I kind of like it, and it's very English to me, which of course it is. So highly recommend that. But we're not talking about books today, although it would be very fitting. It's a Sunday. I'm standing here with my cup of tea. Yes, you heard me correctly. I'm standing because I can't record sitting down. But no, we're talking about something way more serious today, and that is regrets. I know it's an odd topic choice for some people, and it might have a very negative connotation, but I think regrets can also have at least a small positive impact sometimes, not all the time for sure. But, recently I've been very thoughtful because I currently don't know where I'm headed really. I have somewhat of a plan, and I love planning, but currently I can't really plan my life any further, and I don't know where I'm going really, and it just makes me feel very uncomfortable, and I just don't like that feeling. And I think when you're starting to doubt yourself and when you're unsure, you feel insecure, this is the time where regrets usually arise, and I really hate that feeling, but I'm trying to make it useful at least. And as this podcast is my very own personal therapy session, I think I'm just going to discuss this with you guys. So yeah, let's just get started. So as I said, I think that regrets usually arise when you're doubting yourself, when you're not very grounded, when you might be headed towards some big change in your life, and also when very dramatic things happen, when you maybe lose someone, when you maybe lose something. And I don't mean necessarily that someone has died, but you might have lost, I don't know, contact to a very important person, or you might have ended a relationship or something like that, So I think when we're the most insecure and the most vulnerable, regrets just come in and they're like, hi, time to shine. At least this is what I feel like. And I think that regret and doubt often go hand in hand. And I think, they're a dangerous duo everyone should be aware of. And I think, it's not like I'm not burdened enough by other thoughts questioning myself and my actions. Why are they always connected? But I have also realized that these two not only appear when you are at a low point in your life, but also when you're really close to something big, like a big solution or a breakthrough or something like that. Because have you ever felt this when you have accomplished something really big, or you're really close to accomplishing something really big, and then you're like, oh my God, no, I should have just stayed in my comfort zone. I should have just stayed where I was, where nothing could happen to me and where nothing would have ever happened to me. And these thoughts are so weird. Why, when something good is about to happen, do you question yourself? Do you regret maybe not, standing back and letting others pass? Why is this happening? And you know what, again, I don't have the answers. I'm not a therapist. I am not a life coach. I'm just starting to think about things that happen to me, and I think they might be happening to other people. I'm sure they're happening to other people, and I think it's interesting to discuss this and make a podcast episode about it because other people go through similar things or the same things, and then we can just share that feeling. But I don't like it. I don't like feeling that way. So why, when I'm about to reach one of the high points in my life, I'm dragged down by my regrets and thoughts, and I just feel like, I've left my comfort zone for too long. I recently read an article, and it was actually fitness motivated. So it was about working out and how to motivate yourself, but it was about why, when you get out of your comfort zone, you just want to go back. And then the answer was, yeah, because it's comfortable. But then I was like, but this cannot be the only answer. I think that sometimes when change is about to hit you in the face, you're scared. And that is a very human and normal feeling. And then you start regretting things because you haven't gotten over that point yet where you can just embrace the change. And this is kind of how I feel about regrets. So sometimes when regret arises in my life and it just creeps into my mind and it just makes me doubt my life's choices, I'm like, are you the good kind of regret or are you the nasty kind of regret? And this is what I want to talk to you about today. So I think all of us have at some point in our lives felt the urge to say, I should have, I shouldn't have. I think we've all cross paths with these kinds of sentences. So while I was thinking about what I'm regretting in my life and what specific reasons I have to regret certain things, I was thinking about what do other people regret? Like when you ask older generations, what do they usually say when you ask them if they regret anything or what they regret in general? And they're always like, I regret not having done this or having done this. But usually they tend to lean towards the I regret not having done this. And we're going to pick up that thought later. But again, let's think about what general things many people regret in their lives and what like more general and more relatable answers some people could have come up with and what non-specific things they could be talking about that might even apply to your life and your case. So the first thing that came to my mind was spending more time with friends and family. Of course, this is something that goes through my mind every single day. Every time I don't have that much time to maybe visit my grandmother for a long time, I keep thinking, oh my God, maybe that was the wrong decision. Maybe I should have spent more time with her. And I try to spend as much time as humanly possible with her because, of course, I have things to do and I can't always chill at her place. Although, that would be amazing, not gonna lie. But yeah, I have to get back to my own life. That's just natural. But I do think about that quite a lot. And I think that's probably the number one thing. And, I'm not talking about statistics. This is just a feeling. But I can imagine that this is at the top of many people's lists because this seems the most important thing. At the end of the day, personal interaction with your friends and family, with your loved ones, is the most important part of our lives. At least that's what I believe. So it would be no surprise for me if many people had that at the top of their lists. And something else that came to my mind was career related. And I think a lot of people, me included, would have wanted to have planned out their career paths a little more clearly. There was definitely something that I wanted to do for a long time, but I just didn't realize when I had the chance to really go for it. And I didn't choose the really specific tools I could have chosen to actually get there. And I regret not having a clearer picture because I could just be doing this right now. Or not. Sometimes life just doesn't work that way. But I think if I had been a little more clear and even a little more aggressive in my choices, and I would not have opted for the safe choices, and this is where the comfort zone comes in, I could have been at a different point in my life right now with my career that would have been much more satisfying. And I think this is something that a lot of people go through. But also, I still to this day don't understand how you can just, let a couple of 18-year-olds out in the world and expect them to know what they want to do with their lives. I hadn't figured out what I wanted to do with my life until I was like 23, 24. And maybe other people get there a little sooner and earlier, and that's great for them. But I think a lot of people just need better guidance in school already to figure out what they really want to do. And what I've also realized while we were in school, we were just given the safe options. And I understand that schools are somewhat expected to, push children into safer job situations, but like following your dreams wasn't even an option unless it was a safe option. But it rarely ever is it? And then, of course, sometimes I think life is maybe not supposed to be that perfect. Maybe some people are just lucky and they're like the chosen ones. How does it feel to be God's chosen one? That's what I keep thinking. No, but what I'm trying to say is maybe you're not always supposed to get what you really want. Maybe if you had a chance to see your life in all its different versions, maybe you would realize, oh wow, no, I would not have been happy or just satisfied with that kind of life. Maybe you're supposed to be where you are right now. Maybe I'm supposed to be where I am right now. And of course, it could be an excuse to not have pushed harder, to not have figured out what I wanted to do with my life earlier. But it could also be an explanation or something that is soothing for your mind and your soul and your nerves and just your general self. Because I think, if you realize that if you've made a mistake a couple of years, weeks, days, minutes ago, you might not make that same mistake again. So when it comes to career choices right now, I'm trying to be extremely clear with what I want and what I don't want. So I've been offered a few jobs lately, which I would have loved, but the conditions didn't seem right. And I just didn't give in to something that was just semi-okay for me and not good. I'm not looking for perfect because I don't think perfect exists in this world. I don't believe that hard, But I think I should have a good feeling when I enter a new chapter of my life. And if I don't, that's already a warning sign. So I'm trying to use the feeling of regret for something good right now. I'm trying to use that feeling that I have about choices that I have made a few years ago to make choices now that will bring my career to another level and that will make my life something that I actually enjoy. And in my case, that is also connected to not caring about what other people think. And it is the most liberating thing you can do. And I think, when we're younger, we really care. We're really, really, really into what our friends think of us and family thinks of us. And that's normal. That's just the way it is when you're younger. But I think the older you get, the less you care. And again, it's the most liberating feeling. And recently I've read something that said, the older you get, the less you care how you look when you step outside. And I've always been like that. Usually I just do not care. If I want to dress up, I will. If I don't, I won't. It's that simple for me personally. But of course I have friends who deal with that completely differently, which is also fine. But yeah, I've started to care a little less. I just don't care that much anymore. And it is so nice. So why I said it's connected to my career choices, I have a few friends who would probably act differently, who would probably choose differently. They might have just accepted some offers that I didn't accept. And we have discussions about it, we have conversations about it, and then of course they understand my reasons. But just on a personal level, they would have not made the same choices, and that is totally fine. But I just realized that the only person that really matters when it comes to decision making, unless I'm hurting or harming other people, which of course I'm not, is me. I matter. My opinion matters. And I love to get advice and suggestions. And I really like to check back with some friends what their approach would be and what their suggestions and their advice would be. And I love that. I need some input, of course. But I also realize that at the end of the day, I'm the one who's making the decisions. And I just don't have to care if other people judge me for it if it still makes me really happy. And it usually does. So of course you make wrong decisions here and there, but you usually learn from them. And this is what I'm trying to say. I've learned that, sometimes I just have to push harder. So currently I'm pushing for something that I really want, and I'm not opting for something that is just half of what I want or 3/4 of what I want, because no, it's just not enough anymore. But of course, not caring what other people think is also about how you look, how you act, who you're hanging out with, what your hobbies are. I mean, the list is probably endless. but I think it's also sometimes easier said than done. I know a lot of people rely on input, they want to have people like them. And again, it is very liberating when you can shake that off, when you just don't care. But it is easier said than done because sometimes your feelings are hurt and you want people to acknowledge you for who you are. And when they don't, it can really be hurtful and it can really be harmful. So it's not always as easy to shake it off, but just slowly getting there, I recommend that to anyone. And I'm still working on that myself. Of course, I do care what my friends think and what my family thinks. And I try to reason with myself when something happens and when I do something that not a lot of people can understand. And as this basically never happens, I'm quite okay. But sometimes I just talk to my friends and then we end up at a point that is basically, okay, we agree to disagree because it's a matter of personal opinion and of personal choices. But yeah, it's not always that easy, and getting to that point of not caring is not always that great. It's a bumpy road. And if you're aware of that and if you're ready for that, I think you can get there very fast. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of grit and a little bit of strength to push to get there, like push yourself to get there. Because when not every outside opinion has an impact on your life, it is just the best feeling. And I know a lot of people regret not having fun and not trying out new things. And I know it's not like that for everyone, but when it comes to me, I'm already there. I talked to one of my friends recently and I said something like, I want to travel as much as I can because I don't want to regret not having done it. And I don't know how it is in my family, but my grandma recently said something similar to me. She was like, travel while you're still young, while you still want to go to different kinds of places, and while you still want to see different parts of the world. And I love that. And I'm not sure if she necessarily regrets not having traveled more because she used to travel, as best as she could. But I don't know if that's something that she regrets. And I'm trying to take her on as many journeys as possible, while she's still healthy enough, while she's still interested. And we've just talked about that. We actually want to try to go to Italy next year together because she is such a gelato fan. She loves her ice cream so much, and she was like, I have to have Italian ice cream at least once. And I get that. I was like, you know what? We're gonna make that happen, girl. This is happening. So hopefully this is really happening because I don't want to regret anything really. And I know that's not realistic. I know, again, this is not a perfect world. I will be old and gray one day and regret certain things, but I think I will have more regrets when I don't do things. So I am trying to take my grandmother on all the trips she wants to go on because she should not, sit in her house one day and regret not having traveled to Italy to get some ice cream. And the final thing that I could think of is a more adult advice or something that came to my mind that just makes me sound like I'm very responsible with my life, but I actually don't know how to feel about it. And I'm talking about saving money, creating savings, and being less impulsive and resisting temptations because I am so guilty of that. I'm a victim of my own behavior. And if you remember on my 30 before 30 list, I had something that said stop impulsive spending and save for things you actually want. And it's really difficult for me. Oh my God. I mean, I just like nice things and yeah, they just usually cost a little bit of money. But at the end of the day, I think a little bit of money on the side just gives you a little bit of security. And if you can't put that much away, a little sometimes goes a long way. If it's just enough for you to afford a new washing machine, I feel like that's the example. But that thing always breaks when you can't really deal with it in that moment. So having that amount of money might save you from having some sleepless nights. And that already sounds and feels really good and like a really good plan. So I'm trying to go down that path right now. I'm trying to save more and be less impulsive and resist all of the temptations and be just more aware and conscious with how I spend my money and on what I spend my money. And I think when you're older, just having the security of just being able to not denying yourself anything that you want, it is very liberating, and it's certainly something that you will probably not regret. But I think what's also important is that you find a really good balance. I don't think you should save everything that you can save right now, because then you just can't live your life. And right now you're probably young and healthy and happy, and you should get to, I don't know, fulfill your dreams and wishes right now as well. Just don't be impulsive and don't spend everything at once, I mean, that's probably very clear, and you don't need me telling you that. Save a little bit, but also make sure that you are going on that vacation, that you are getting that handbag you want, or that you are, I don't know, fulfilling your dreams, because why not? You're working for a reason. You're earning that money for a reason, so you get to spend it. So these were the things that I came up with that I think a lot of people share and that many people can relate to, or at least imagine to regret at some point in their lives. But I think if you find yourself regretting certain things, then just deal with those regrets, deal with it, don't avoid it. And if you have to, make amends or forgive yourself. But if you can still do something about it, just do it, even if that's learning from your mistakes. And if that is an option, why not change something? If you can still change something about your way of life and this will get rid of your regrets, why not? I mean, if it's a career you always wanted to have and it's still an option, but it would take a lot of work, then put in the work, go to school again if that's an option. Just do it, because I think it's much harder to be old and gray and have a ton of regrets instead of pushing for something that you really want. I think if you're a happier and more satisfied person, your relationships to all the people in your life will be better ones, will be happier, and just living a fulfilled life. I think that is a privilege and a pleasure that if you can have it, just go and get it. I mean, I'm really motivating you right now, but I'm also motivating myself. But yeah, that's, I think, what is really important. Face those things, and if you can do something about it and get rid of your regrets, oh my God, yes, please sign me up. And if you're like me, what could help you visualize is just making a list of things you still want to achieve. If there are certain things that you can't achieve anymore, make a list of things you want to achieve right now, so you don't face the same issues again, you don't face the same problems again, and you will not regret another thing. If there are things that you want to achieve right now, make a list, look at the list, and get to work. And, I think there are so many movies and TV shows about regrets and having no regrets. And I think that theme is so important because many people have to go through something like that. Many people have regrets. Many generations have regrets. I think there is also something that is generational regret and that many, many people suffer from. And I think, the important thing is that you just can't do everything perfectly. You can't do everything right. That's just normal. This is how it is. I think every single person on this earth will eventually regret not having done something or regret something that they did. But this is also part of life. And the good thing is that, again, we can learn from those things and we can just improve and we can change things. And maybe it is really as easy as not asking permission and just doing things that you want to do, because you might end up with fewer regrets that you might when you don't go for certain things that you want in your life. So after this very motivational episode, I hope you look at your life and you think about your life in a different kind of way, and you maybe make a list, even, if it's just in your head, of things that you still want to achieve. And I hope you wake up tomorrow and you're like, yeah, I think I'm going to go for it, because that would be the best possible outcome. And let me tell you again, I was motivating myself throughout this entire episode, so I'm going to make my own list now. Have a great day, and I can't wait to talk to you again next week. Bye!